This is absolute crazy. Someone sold 5 DD tokens and made a massive 25,000 ADA profit by selling each of those DD tokens for 4,670 ADA each. All right, this is crazy. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Peter Bury, and I try and cover everything in the Cardano space. There is so much happening, so much news, and so many learnings that we can have from what people are doing at the moment, and this is definitely one of them. And if you want to get kept up to date with everything, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell, and I will do my best to keep you informed with all of this really, really interesting news. Now, this one here was a really, really lucky trade by someone, and because they use Dex Hunter, they managed to automatically get this trade routed through the best price to bring in those returns for this particular user. And this is it here. So someone just turned 0.5 ADA into 25,000 ADA by selling that 5 DD tokens for 4,670 ADA each. Now, Dex Hunter, for those that don't know, it's all there to find the best routes possible for any of the trades that you're doing in the Cardano ecosystem. So if you are trading DD, for example, all you need to do is go to the platform, click on your swap interface here, choose the token that you want, and it will try and find the best liquidity, best price, best returns for you wherever that is. Now, fortunately for this person that did this trade, Dex Hunter found this opportunity out there and gave him that massive profit in return. Now, this account that I've been following, DeFi on Cardano, they break down some of these really interesting trades that are out there following really big wallets. I featured them before, but this is a really good breakdown. So this is mind-blowing. So this trader with ADA handle, Kinan, who never made more than 400 profit on any trade, suddenly made $24,000 profit due to a mishap of an unfortunate fellow supplying liquidity on SundaeSwap. Here is how it all happened. So this trade here, this is a trade. You can see them selling. Okay, so it's these two trades here actually. So these two here, so they sold the 400 DD tokens and it got split into 2 transactions, because what Dex Hunter will do, it will split that transaction and go, hey, you can trade some of your DD tokens here and in this pool here. So those 2 pools combined together will give you the best profit, and it certainly did. So here we can see the 5.33 DD tokens get swapped for that 24,909 ADA, and then the rest of their DD tokens, the 394.67, sold at sold for 35 ADA here. So this is across 2 different liquidity pools that you can see on SundaeSwap. So someone's provided the liquidity on this particular pool here, this one at the top, and unfortunately set the prices incorrectly, and here someone else profited from that particular swap. Now, if we have a look further down this thread, we'll get a little bit more detail. On the 18th of July, at the beginning of the DD presale, Kingan entered into a presale, but then he started selling his tokens for 35 ADA on that same day and yesterday. The trade didn't go as planned. His normal trading strategy was to enter into presales and sell for a profit. You can see this all on chain. So DeFi and Cardano was looking at the history of this particular user. He was not a whale, but by trading God smiled on him and frowned on his SundaeSwap donor. This morning, he found an error with a pull on SundaeSwap via Dex Hunter. Aggregators like to look for the best price possible and trading route. Kinan was lucky today. He made 5.3 million% profit on this particular trade. Is that right? Yeah, 5.3 million% profit. This is an error many people might encounter in the future, and God forbid you may end on the side of the LP supplier. In my personal opinion, this does more damage to Cardano and order book dexes. Projects that desire more sustainable and stable token price and contribution from the public would not take this route in the future. This is because the compatibility of having both LP on both order books with batches, dexes is looking to be very unproductive for newer projects. Okay, we'll talk about the LP provisioning from projects once they do token sales and how different projects do it in a minute. Now you can see a little bit further down here, this here from Bobcorn Ada. The reason this happened is there was another person that swapped 12,409 ADA for 0.72 DD by using the low liquidity pool on Sunday. So that's the person that put their ADA into this particular pool. This caused the price to shoot up Dex Hunter found that particular price, that route, and the next trade, that next person that came in was so lucky and they managed to get that particular profit. Crazy. Now, a little bit further down on the thread, Pi explains exactly what happens here. Unfortunately, people occasionally make the mistake of swapping or zapping against a low liquidity pool. We added a warning that the user has to acknowledge when the action has a normally high price impact, but it seems people still click through without reading sometimes. Now, let me show you how the zap in actually works. So I'll click on this particular pool here. This is the ADA RS-ERG, and I'll click on zap. Now, what you're prompted with here is how much ADA you want to sell into this pool. So I'm going to put in 10,000 because we saw that TVL. Let me just go back to it. The TVL here is 21,000. And if you have the breakdown, it's 10,490 ADA worth of LP, and then the 5,035 worth of RS-ERG. So there's not much here to move around in. And if I click on zap, the zapping process, what it does is sells your ADA. So it will take half that ADA and sell it onto the DEX for the ERG and then put the rest of your ADA in. So it will sell half of the ADA that I put in. So if I put in 10,000, half of that will go into the LP as ADA. The other half will be used to purchase the RS-ERG. Now, because I'm using 5,000, which is half the LP at the moment within that pool, it's going to move this price quite dramatically. And if we scroll down a little bit further here, we can see the volatility warning that Pi was talking about in his tweet here, in his post. And you can see you should be looking into this if something happens. Now, I think personally that this here, the show zap details, should always be expanded so you can have a look at the details of what's going on for this particular trade. So the ADA that's deposited here is 5,000 because it's half of that 10,000 I'm putting in. And then this here is how much the RS-ERG you'll get after this swap. So I'm using 5,000 ADA to buy 1,000 RS-ERG, and that's where that price isn't so nice. I'm having a really bad trade here, and this is what the other person did with the DD tokens. So the price impact here is 32%, so that's quite high. Now, if I change my zapping price here to something even higher, let's say I'm using 50,000 ADA, so I'm just trying to really over exaggerate this so you can see the difference. So let's expand that details area again. Now the price impact is 70%, and I still only get like that 1,000 RS-ERG. So this is a terrible, terrible trade, but you don't visually see it if this isn't expanded. But you do get this massive warning here. Please, please, please be aware of the zapping features. It makes the trading and depositing of liquidity onto a particular pool so much easier, because it's less steps. You don't have to pay all these extra fees, etc. You don't have to buy the other token to pair and match up with. Now, it's not exclusive to SundaeSwap. Of course, MinSwap were the first one to release a zapping feature on Cardano. And we can see here, I'm using this LRN token, which is part of the Learn to Earn platform on my website. And here I'm using 5,000 LRN tokens to zap into the LRN ADA pool. And here, because there's not much LRN tokens in there, I'm having a terrible trade and have a 96% price impact. So this is definitely something that should raise alarm bells. So what's a good price, a good amount of tokens I should zap in? Probably 5. And even that still gives me a 3.3% price impact. So maybe just one LRN token. That would get me nothing. There we go. That's the green. Now we have the green, 0.93, and that's the type of price impact that you want to see when you're zapping in on any particular token. So please be aware of that. Now, the other thing while I have you here, if you're doing any type of trading, the other thing to also look at is the slippage that you have on a token. So when a token launches, you need to look at the slippage as well, because prices of those particular tokens will change quite dramatically. Let's see if they've got DD here, DD. So it's a brand new token, so it should be quite volatile in itself. Now, if I swap, let's see, 100 ADA for DD. That seems like a good price. Note, price impact is still quite high, so I wouldn't be swapping for this. The other thing you need to look at here is the slippage, and this is the price movement from when you put in your trade to when it actually goes on chain. Now, because Cardano transactions, every block is 20 seconds, the price may have moved in that 20-second time from when you submit your transaction. So if you're expecting X amount and it's moved by 4 or 5% when it gets on chain, the slippage tolerance here will stop that trade from happening. It will get stuck in the trade queue until the price moves back to that point, so then it can actually be batched and executed on chain. So this slippage is something that you need to be aware of as well, so that you don't force through a transaction at a bad price. You can, if you really want to, put in unlimited slippage. So I think they've taken it off the interface at the moment, but you can have an unsafe slippage tolerance of like 99%. So if you really want to get a token or exit whatever position, whatever price it is, you can. But of course, price impact, price volatility, it will affect that trade. So please be careful of that. 0.5 is the standard percentage of slippage that people do put in. Okay, so lessons learned here. Make sure you check that price impact for whatever trade you're doing, whether you're zapping in or just trading on a particular token. See if that price impact is desirable or not. Less than 1% should be okay. Second thing is to look at that slippage. Look at that slippage tolerance so that you know when you're doing your trade, you're getting the token for the price that you're expecting. So that's another thing to really look at. Now, the third thing that I haven't spoken about is the liquidity provisioning by a project after a token launch. So I think it's really important that projects, when they launch their tokens, do provide that liquidity onto the various DEXs, seed them, whether it's centralized exchange, even a lot of projects do that as well. I think it's crucial so that users have a better and safer trading experience afterwards. So this here is the MinSwap launch bowl, and SundaeSwap have their version of the launch bowl. They call it the taste test. So very similar processes. So here are a few projects that have gone through the liquidity bootstrapping event on MinSwap, and how this actually works is when they go through their token raise on the DEX, the liquidity is locked into smart contracts, and as soon as that project reaches their caps, that liquidity is added onto the DEX straight away. So anyone that didn't participate in the token sale, the LBE here, they will be able to trade on the DEX immediately afterwards on that particular launch date. So that makes a much smoother and easier trading experience where you have that really nice fair price that has gone through the process. Now, Dedium did do their launch through the Axo Launchpad here, and I think the sale overall went really well for them, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, I think what happened here is the mix of the two types of DEXs. So Axo is an order book style DEX where the liquidity is added in at certain prices by the LP, the liquidity providers. And I think a lot of the traders afterwards went to the other DEXs and provided liquidity via the Zapping, the AMM style DEXs out there. And that's what's caused this type of issue. So this is what DeFi and Cardano is on about here. This is because of the compatibility of having LP on both order books with batcher DEXs is looking to be very unproductive for newer projects. So it's I really think if a project is launching through something like Axo, they need to look at other alternatives of providing liquidity onto the ecosystem so that everyone has a nice trading experience. And if they do that, like so I know you can launch on one order book DEX such as Axo and then provide some liquidity elsewhere, there's usually price fluctuations and you get arbitrage opportunities. And I think arbitrage is one of the really good things that a lot of traders like out there. They see a high price somewhere and they try and find a lower price somewhere else, buy it up and scoop it, and then start selling it for a profit there. So arbitrage is one of those big things in the crypto space. Now, I do these videos on a regular basis to keep you guys up to date with everything that's happening. I do all these interviews, and I don't get paid for any of this. All my revenue primarily comes from the YouTube ads and sale of NFTs. So if you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member. You can have a look here. These are all my fantastic channel members at the moment. You can subscribe if you have the means to do so, and it's just a price of a cup of coffee. So I've kept it as low as possible. So if you do have the means, if you do want to support, you can do so that way, and it keeps me going, keeps me motivated, and keeps me producing these videos for you guys. If you can't afford that, that's totally fine. You don't need to. Don't feel guilty that you can't, but if you can, at least hit that like and subscribe button. It helps with the algorithm and it helps me get these videos out there for the community. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back to it. So remember, check that price impact when you're doing a trade. Make sure that slippage setting is set correctly, and have a look at how liquidity is provided by the project on launch so that everyone can have a nice, smooth trading experience. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. If you found this episode useful, if you learned something here, leave a comment down below. I love responding to your comments and questions. And if you have any other unique stories that you want to share with me, please also reach out. Otherwise, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.